Welcome to Hollywood in Hollywild. The higher mind. All the good stuff in our lives comes from the higher mind, and yet we as people use it so little. Our world changed while we were standing in line to buy the next best thing that we're only going to use once. You know, advertising is a result of the higher mind. But we abandon the higher mind to indulge our ego or our survival mind in the flash of a second to buy something. Why? I mean, why don't we use our higher minds more? What is the higher mind? Okay, that's fair. Let's define the higher mind. An eon ago, that's 100,000 years, our ancestors, Neanderthals, learned survival so well, they had time to sit and think. Perhaps around the fire at night on a full stomach, looking into a starry night, hearing the wolves howl at the full moon. It was around this time that man started making art. Useless art. Art that had no purpose for survival, but simply to look pretty and remind them of the deep introspection in its creation. And thus, they created something of real value. That's the best example I can find of the higher mind. I mean, it says it all. Our creativity, our problem solving, and where it comes from. I mean, we were destined to become higher minded. And we are intended for greater things than day-to-day survival. So, why don't we use it more? I mean, some people do, but certainly not enough. I mean, what might our world look like if we all engaged our higher mind more? I mean, not all the time, but just more than we do now. I've always been entertained by learning things that I was interested in. And from childhood, I realized that, real freedom meant understanding a lot of things. So many, in fact, that it seems impossible to know them all, which is kind of cool because it's a lot like a treasure hunt. I like exploring and looking for things, especially answers. I think we all do. Which is good because our lives are puzzles. And some of us, all of us are still looking for all the pieces to finish. And we have no idea what they'll look like or how they'll fit until our last gasp, whether that comes while we're sleeping or we're awake. Life isn't scary. What is scary is what we don't see. Or want to see. In some cases, things we don't even know exist. Looking at Neanderthals, they were the first to deal with ego and the higher mind. They seem to have embraced it. And, by looking at their phenomenal caches of art and caves all over the world and out in nature, all of them seem to be into art making and decoration, making things special. They made art that still exists today. And it was recently dated to over 130,000 years ago. Modern man's closest attempt to making something that lasts that long is pyramids and plastic bags. Bags will probably strangle us all by themselves. The actual plastic bag was created by a higher mind. An ego mind took that idea, and that's why there's an island in the Pacific made of plastic. I've seen pictures with penguins standing on it. It's disgusting. There's nothing for miles but plastic that man has thrown on the ground and ends up in the sea. That's the best example I can find of why we shouldn't let ego run the world. Why would we let that happen? Well, anyway, to that end, we're going to be talking about this for the next few shows with some really interesting people. And I'm going to try to explain more about the higher mind, at least what I know about it, and we'll find out what other people know about it. And I'll give my point of view on how I think advertising definitely uses the higher mind to trick your higher mind into using your lower mind and getting your ego to make a purchase. On today's show, we're going to talk to Eric about another really great woman vocalist he got a chance to work with on an EP called Follow Your Every Beat with Pete Minn, another guitarist. And her name is Katie Costello. And we're going to talk about that project and hear some of the songs that they wrote on that EP called Follow Your Every Beat. And then we're going to chill on the porch and chat with somebody you've already met, Simon Cole. And we're going to share some thoughts about the higher mind with him. This is Hollywood in Hollywild Radio on KRYZradio.org and 98.5 LPFM. And we're broadcasting from Mariposa in the Sierra Nevada. Let's get to some music with Eric. All right, cool. So, Eric, man, how you doing today? You feeling good?
Been good, Dave. How are you doing?
Yeah, everything's pretty groovy. Pretty groovy. I'm working on this whole new thing on the next few shows about the higher mind.
Yes, we've been talking about it. I remember you mentioned that to me.
So, in this show later on, we're going to be talking to Simon Cole. I had a great talk with him about the higher mind. And,
Good.
One of the things I told him, I was like, I don't know a single artist that doesn't employ their higher mind. I mean, because that's what art is all about, right? But,
there.
But it's also survival too,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I was just thinking this is funny. That old saying about only a musician will put a $6,000 instrument into a $500 car, pay $70 gasoline for a $25 gig.
That I never heard it like that, but
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, and but it's funny because the higher mind gets all that stuff done, but the ego just goes along with it because it wants the $25.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, it does
The
work.
it
does work in the daily world, right?
The absurdity of it all, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, the absurdity of trying to, for so many artists right now to try and make a living at their art is unacceptable, especially for what art brings to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of art, we have another great woman vocalist again this week. Somebody else that you got to work with and do an EP with. What was the name of this EP?
Katie Costello was the artist.
Artist.
She's incredible, Katie, right?
Yeah, I love her voice.
And we did 5 tunes with her. Pete, again, my buddy Pete.
Oh, it was with Pete again. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
with his incredible studio. He engineered it and produced it, and I wrote with her. We both wrote. All 3 of us wrote together, and that's such a great way to do it these days. Is you got to be in the studio. You got to, as you're writing, record. It's really spontaneous, and you got to do it fast.
Yeah.
Fast, and you don't go and rent a studio for 2 weeks. You got to do it in
the moment.
Someone has to have a good enough recording studio so you can just record and not pay a fortune.
Yeah, guerrilla style.
And she was, again, she came in, we banged out a bunch of songs. It was like a week or two. We did it probably for a couple weeks, but she came in, and then she wrote all the lyrics and the melodies. And then, some lyrics, we threw around some ideas lyrically, but in general, she took care of that. And she's so good. Her voice is so beautiful and ethereal. Yeah,
and I like the lyrics too. I like the lyrics.
Yeah,
that she did, the way she put it all together. And
yeah,
some of them are really speak to the heart. And,
very much so. And she, recently I just checked in, and she got a lot. She's done a lot in film and TV, and it's so funny. One of the tunes,
her voice sounds so familiar.
Yeah, we did one, got in a TV show. So it's cool when you kind of...
What TV show?
It was the Pretty Little Liars. God, I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was... And it's great. It's great. It's like that stuff we did with Aiden. The stuff we saw with Aiden that got into one of the last episodes of
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, which is doctors in dramatic
parlance.
Hospital.
Yeah. Comedy drama.
Let's have a hospital show that's not dramatic, right?
Yeah.
So she's amazing, and I'm glad you like the tracks because she's great.
Yeah, I love all the tracks. I mean, we can't, if I was just doing a total music show, I would just, we would play the whole EP always. But I'm really trying to, get everybody thinking more in their higher mind. I figure it'll make the world a lot better. What do you think?
Yeah. And I know when you're up where you're living up there, every time I talk to you.
Yeah, it's easier up here,
You've been slipping in, you've been able to go there.
Yeah, I mean, while I was waiting for you to hit me up, I was standing out on the porch, and this young doe, who was born like 2 years ago or something like that, she came up and sort of just hung out for a little while. And it's, I mean, I remember this little girl from when I first moved in almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
How crazy.
But
all
it's,
right, man. So we're going to listen to the first song that we're going to listen to. And if we have some extra time, we're going to try and sneak in another one. And but the first song that we're going to hear is How Long?
Yeah.
And then the second one, which I think How Long might be my favorite song of the
Okay,
EP.
play that first.
Yeah, and then Fireflies, which was a really close. I mean, I couldn't make up my mind between the other one, and then 5 is just a perfect ending song, and so that was always my pick for the wrap up great song at the end of the show. So.
Well, thanks for playing the music, man. Thank you.
Dude. You should call up all your friends, and we should find out what their EPs are and stuff. And
I will.
Even if you don't play on them, we can still talk about them and get their music out. That'd be
the higher mind. That's where it all. That's where.
It's all about sharing, right?
Yep.
We share all the people that we know, and because basically. We're far enough along in our career where most of the people that we know that are still doing what we do are good because they're still doing it, right?
They survivors.
They're survivors because they're just still doing it. And
it's true.
None of us ever made enough money to stop working.
But to survive it and to continue, that's the real test of time.
It's
one thing to do it. It's one thing to do it when you're 20.
Yeah.
But to do it when you're 75.
When you're in your 50s and 60s. And trust me, dude, I know voiceover people.
Yeah.
That when I first got my first agent, and I'd already been doing voiceover for a long time before that, but when I first got my first agent, I met all the famous old dudes from the 50s and the 60s.
Ooh,
right? Gary Owens.
Wow, yep.
Jack Roth is another legend,
Wow.
There's Peter Thomas. There were so many great legendary...
Peter Thomas, your uncle.
No, we're not related. He's from England. I knew there was a whole...
Oh, Peter.
There was a whole bunch of people that did... He used to dance in front of the microphone. Wow. Yeah, he did all kinds of crazy stuff. But there was a whole group of, English dudes that
came over and killed it.
Over and killed it doing American accents, and nobody knew. Wow. The only people that knew was their agent.
Wow.
Because they said their name like an American. They did the read better than any American. It's just it was so hysterical.
And that's when in the 50s and 60s?
Yeah.
Wow,
I know this one guy who made the play, I think, Bullshot Crumb famous. Yeah, he does the best American businessman, and it just cracks me up every time.
Wow. That's good. I just learned. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's hysterical, dude. It's hysterical. Okay, thanks for the interview, bro. And
thanks for playing the music.
Yeah, my pleasure. Next, we're going to hear Katie Costello and Eric and Pete on guitars from the EP Follow Your every beat. This is How Long.
I see you wandering these empty halls, looking for something you never found inside at all. I see you running, looking for fights. You're always hunting your own shadow in the light. How long will it take to find your way back home? Tell me you'll be somewhere, you'll be something tonight. I know you're hurting from years by yourself. Take this or leave it. Everyone needs there's something else. How long will it take to find your way back home? Tell me you'll be somewhere, you'll be something tonight. Tell me you'll be something tonight. You'll find your way back. How long will it take to find your way back home? Tell me you'll be somewhere, you'll be something tonight. Tell me you'll be somewhere tonight. Tell me you'll be somewhere tonight. Tell me you'll be something tonight.
My next friend, Simon Cole, you already know because he's been on the show before, but working on this problem about how to educate my audience's higher mind, or at least just getting them using it. I think it's going to take a couple of conversations with a number of people. And so I thought I'd reach out to Simon Cole because I run a lot of really complicated ideas by him, and he's generally got really, really great input. And he's got a good head on his shoulders. So, Simon, thanks for coming on to the show today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dave. Good to be here.
All right, cool. So we had a great time on your last appearance, your two-part appearance, and it was really fun. But we've had so many great conversations out on the golf course, and I think that you're a person that I bounce ideas off with because you see things from such a great perspective. Partially as a result of what you do. I got onto the internet and I did a search on the higher mind, and some of the stuff that I saw was pretty frightening. A lot of people that would talk to you like, "Dear ones, you are love," and you know what I'm talking about? that super spiritual, uncomfortable way that people talk to you, you know, where
Yes.
they don't talk to
Yes, it makes me want to shoot myself in the face.
So, I mean, what is the higher mind to you? Because I know it's not, you are loved, dear ones, you know, that whole thing.
Well, the strange thing about higher mind is it's not really about intelligence. It kind of implies that it's all about kind of being more intelligent or less intelligent,
Right.
or that some people are capable of a higher mind and some people aren't because of their innate abilities. And I think that's a misconception. I'm a pretty above average intelligent guy, but it's not really what makes me who I am. I think the higher mind to me is much more to do with whether you're fulfilling the capacity of your own mind as opposed to being cleverer than anyone else or faster or smarter and all those things. You know, I think it's a misconception that in order to achieve a higher mind, you have to be special or an extraordinary person or have an extraordinary mind. And I think to a certain degree that puts people off. The idea of a hierarchy of intelligence between kind of people and...
Oh, yeah, I'm totally with that. Well, you know, I mean, and the reason I can so readily agree with you is because I had a chance to meet the Dalai Lama, you know? And, you know, you would think the Dalai Lama is a higher mind, and he is, you know, but he's also very human and a pretty simple guy. And he was a goofball when I met him. He had a really funny sense of humor. So you know, it's not like you say, it's not how it's marketed, I guess. Is that correct? You know, I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I was thinking, is there some way to market the higher mind like it's a cool thing, so that people go, oh yeah, great HM, dude. You know, like great higher mind idea, dude. HMI, the higher mind idea. Nice HMI, dude. I mean, basically it breaks down to like the higher mind and the ego. And the ego you need because you need to survive. And the ego wants to feed itself and then go to sleep in a warm place and wake up and eat again. And that's basically ego. But the higher mind's like, you know, there's more to life. We've got some time on our hands here. Let's make some sculpture. Let's go look at that great view or something like that. Let's look at something beautiful. That's the higher mind. And all the good stuff in our life came from the higher mind, but the higher mind depended on the ego to get it to the place where it could have enough extra time to do something. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. They've done a lot of study on performance and what creates great performance, what creates in everything from a cellist or a soloist to a sportsman, you know, to an actor, and they've tried to figure out what is what is the state of mind that you have to achieve in order to create the best of what you're trying to do.
Right.
And the difference between the kind of a great performance or it is kind of, they think about 4% difference between your normal state of mind and a higher state of mind that
oh, really? Just 4%?
Well, it's a lot less than you think it is. So I think people are put off by the idea that it's a mountain to climb and it's a huge achievement.
Yeah,
because 4% ain't a lot, you know. In the end, for us all to bring our minds to a place where it's possible to achieve things we didn't think were necessary isn't really an extraordinary, monument of meditation or or mind control that you need.
Right, or
It's
a huge
actually
chunk of your schedule.
Yeah, it doesn't really take that. And I'm consider myself somebody that's been lucky enough to work with very, very gifted people. Rather than being incredibly gifted myself, I would consider myself really more, the keeper of gifted people. And the one thing that they do have, all the people that I've worked with, from incredible sports stars to great actors to great writers, is an extraordinary ability to focus. And I think focus is a complicated idea, but a lot of the time it's based on an ability to strip away the distractions and concentrate on the primal thought that you need in order to achieve what it is you want. And there is an extraordinary ability to be able to do that, and that's not really meditation.
Well, wait, though. That is, I think that is a type of meditation. And I think that if you really look at what the actor or the artist or the athlete is doing, when they're doing that, they're processing only what they're trying to do, but they're doing it in a way that acknowledges the environment in such a way that they can, by knowing it, take advantage of it and get that extra 1, 2, 3, 4%, which is right over the top, and then makes it some exemplary thing. But yeah, that's really insightful.
There's another study that was done which basically studied what people's interpretation of the level of performance that they're at
Oh my gosh!
compared to the actual level of performance. So they got basically, like, I think it was a soloist, and what they did is they judged what he thought of his performances based on a 2-week span of nightly performances. Then they judged what the audience thought of the performance over the 2 weeks, and then they correlated the two together. And what is surprising about the results of that is that there was no correlation between what the artist thought was his best performance and what the audience thought was the best performance.
Were they the opposite?
No, they just seem not to have any correlation at all. He could think one night he was performing at an extraordinary higher level in a higher mind, but the audience had no awareness of it. Now, obviously, there are coherent mistakes that people make that stop you from being good or bad.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But
Don't be discouraged by this, artists out there, especially you musicians and cellists in particular.
Well, what I would say about that is that the reality is the self-conscious judging of yourself as you're performing or creating or
inventing
or trying to achieve an original thought or trying to get to that place is really not necessarily any use to you, because you may think, I'm killing it right now. I'm singing, or I'm painting, or I'm creating at a higher level right now.
Yeah.
But that, in a way, is a bit of a myth, because you are not really the person best suited to judge what's actually happening to you at that time.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's positive, because even if you're doing something and you think you're messing up, you may not be messing up.
You
may be killing it, and you may be killing it. You may be think you're doing brilliantly, and you're not. So a higher mind, to a certain degree, has this there is an inability to judge a higher mind at the time that it's happening. So that, I think, is a window into how people are better than me, that are truly gifted people, have let go of the ego of judgment, because actually it doesn't really correlate with the results.
Yeah.
So a higher mind quite often has very little awareness about it. You're not aware of how amazing it is.
Well,
and I've talked
to
talked to sportsmen about this. Shaq O'Neal was someone I worked with recently, who obviously it's been a while since he,
but still,
has been at the top of his game. But he always, you said to me, he used to come off the court thinking he had an amazing game, and in the end, that had no relation to what the coach thought or what the
audience
what
thought,
his fans thought. So a higher mind does require that there's very little judgment to it.
Yeah, you can't.
And that's
can't be
surprising, because I think the act of judgment pulls you out of
I was
your...
just gonna say. I mean, if you start judging yourself, then you're being two places at one time. You're serving two masters at one time. You can't do two things at one time. Not at the kind of high level that we're talking about. You have to commit fully, and so you don't have time to judge yourself, because you have to stay creative and keep saying yes. We're going to take a break. This next song with Katie Costello singing Fireflies from the EP Follow Your Every Beat. do you think it would make a difference in the world if people started consciously being aware of the fact that they were accessing their higher mind more?
I think there's a collective consciousness of the higher mind that solves certain problems that the human race gets itself in. I think, like, there was a higher mind during the Second World War. You know, that half the world thought about that we were better off with fascism and hate, but the higher mind knew better, and the collective higher mind, in the end, will, I believe, and call me an optimist, will eventually prevail.
I'm with you.
I was just going to say that Einstein believed, obviously Einstein was super smart guy. That's kind of a very obvious thing to say, but he would say that genius was the wrong description for him. And his ability to create a higher mind wasn't because he could calculate at such an extraordinary pace or so deeper than anyone else on the planet. He used this idea of thought experiments.
Right.
And
visualization.
the thought experiment was how he solved most of his issues. And he found he could create a sort of meditational state of mind by using thought experiments, which tended to be visual clues to solving a problem. And what Einstein understood, more than anything, is how his mind operated best at a higher level. Now, some people can't visualize. Some people don't have visual or narrative abilities in the way that they think or the way that they talk or the way that they see. And, you know, I'm as a director, working in film, I have to be able to edit shots that are imaginative shots that I haven't shot yet, and I have to be able to put them together and edit them together so I can watch. And I have the ability to probably put about 10 shots back to back together. Now, without being able to do that, you can't really be a director, because you have to be able to see the edit, run it in your head while you're shooting the scene.
Exactly.
Now, I can create a higher state of mind while I'm doing that, but the only reason I'm able to do that is I recognize how my brain works. Now, I could approach the problem in a different way and completely fail, but the only difference is that I have figured out how my mind works best.
Yep.
And Einstein did the same. He knew that rather than necessarily approach it in a linear, in a sort of linear academic way, he used his visual imagination to solve problems. You know, basically
about
figured
gravity.
out how the sun worked through visual imagination.
Right.
And these thought experiments were everything to him, and part of his brain had the ability to be able to do that. And what he assumed was his greatest achievement, other than figuring out how the sun worked just by sitting in his room, was more than anything was his ability to understand his own mind. And just to get back to your original point, a higher mind isn't really about hierarchy of higher, bigger, better. Higher mind is an inherent understanding of your own mind and how your mind functions at its best, and whether that's visual or logical or imaginative or practical or impractical or in all these different ways. And ultimately, I would say achieving a higher mind is understanding your own mind rather than getting to a certain level. And I think people who achieve greatness even if it's a single mother managing to get through the day, to me, that's a higher mind.
Hands down.
Is about how does my mind function at its best? How does it work? It's not so much about being a genius.
Right. Well, and look at the first creation of the higher mind, which is, and I bring us back to early man. It was artifacts, and it was decorating tools that they used on a regular basis. Like, apparently, they used to use these flat rocks that they would embellish with all kinds of designs, and they would heat them up, and then they would cook fish on them, or even, I'm sure, breads and grains, that they collect. And but there were markings and diagrams on something that was clearly used to cook with. So they didn't just do art for the sake of art, which obviously cave paintings are, and or exterior types of sculpture that have been embellished in ways that take into consideration the erosion of time and erode the design at the same speed as the rock, and so constantly preserve the artwork for eons and eons. They were smart. They were obviously using their higher mind. But it still comes up to today, The first and the easiest thing, I think, for people to get in touch with it is through doing something artistic, right?
I mean, I think there is, the ability to be able to take a three-dimensional image that you see in your own mind and then apply it to a two-dimensional
that's tricky.
Surface, which is like a cave painting, is to be able to see, a vista and then be able to apply it to a two-dimensional thing. That's a higher mind. But in itself, inherently, doesn't sound that smart.
But
to be able to take 3 dimensions and turn it to 2 dimensions, but give it the illusion of 3 dimensions.
Here's the...
this is, and again, I go back to this idea that, the Huxley idea that we're not genius all the time. We're not, we are not, there are people that are genius and stupid. There are people... the clever, stupid thing.
And we're talking about the same people, both genius and stupid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
idiot savant thing. Just because you do stupid things doesn't mean you can't achieve a higher mind. So,
right, exactly.
And I wish to a certain degree the mythology of the higher mind disappeared, because your average, the person that comes out and fixes your windscreen when it's broken on the side of the road, feels like a genius to me, because I wouldn't know how to do it.
I know,
and it's a genius move to be able to make me safe and figure something out.
Well, that's okay. And that's a good point, and that's what I was hoping to be able to address too. Is that I don't see artists as being the only artists that are out there. In fact, I know lots of people in the business world that execute what they do for a living at an artistic level. I mean, hands down. There are producers that do line production at an artistic level. There's a smoothness, there's a quality of the production that you work on with them. You just know that everything is going to be handled right. You're not going to have a problem with that. If there's a problem with something, it's not going to be that. There's just people that do their jobs. My stepdad he worked at a big health organization for a while, and I mean, he just had a great attitude. He knew everybody's name there, and it made a huge difference because he didn't look at people the same way that most people look at people. He did it with a higher mind. He did it, and that was the other thing I was going to say. Back in the early days, the higher mind didn't just make art and stop. It probably made hunting a lot more economical and fruitful, because the higher mind's the one that's making those kinds of observations of correlations and comparisons. The first time that they realized that fishing at night with a torch, the fish come right up to the shore practically. And, all that scientific stuff, that's all higher mind. The ego's just like remembers one night the moon was full and he was standing right over the moon and the fish came right up to the moon and he was able to grab one and he never made it happen again. Because, he just, if he never had a higher mind, he would never have thought about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. The mind is the final mystery of the human body. Nobody understands.
That's so true.
Excuse me. The higher mind, or the mind, is still a massive mystery to science and to how the human body works.
And not only Simon, but not just the mind, but now science understands that there's the mind and then there's the consciousness. And somehow, I think it was about a year and a half ago, they were able to make physical measurements of a consciousness leaving the body because the weight of the subject changed. And they were able to verify it through a bunch of really, really super fine instruments. And they were able to calculate that something left the body and nothing else changed. And so they know that they don't know anything about the mind or its pharmacological factory, which is run like a high security zone. The brain has a defense system around it that won't let anything get in there. And if it's not the right thing. And so they know nothing about the mind, and we talk about consciousness, but how much do we really know what consciousness is?
Yeah, I mean, the
whales.
Apparently, if you weigh a body before death and after its death, it weighs 21 grams less.
Is it 21? I couldn't remember.
21 grams, yeah. And what some people say is that's the weight of the soul, 21 grams. I personally believe it's probably the active mind. And when the mind loses its
you don't want to call it
activity,
consciousness or something like that?
I think that consciousness probably weighs about 21 grams.
Yeah, okay.
And, so to a certain degree, the mind is really not very fattening at all. And I would personally say one thing you can be sure of is that the higher mind's not going to make you look fat in those jeans.
That's the best advice. We're going to end it right there. Okay, thanks, Simon. This is KRYZradio.org, 98.5 LPFM. And this last song from the EP, Follow Your Every Beat, with Katie Costello singing Everything Has Its Way.
Looking for the line that divides the earth in two. The seam is in the ground, it goes down to the roots. We all come from the same place, but that's not the way it ends. Looking for the thread that started in our heads. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Finding missing stones that will ease the riverbed. The weight is in your hands, there's weight in what is said. Take away the glass and there's a window to the wind. Take away the night and there's a day without an end. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. And we're going and we're moving with the wind. There's no stopping once the world takes its spin. And we're going and we're moving with the wind. There's no stopping once the world takes its spin. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Take away the moon and the sun won't seem to shine. Take away the beat and the heart can't be defined.
Well, we're just about out of time. And I wanted to talk to all the writers out there who want to write but just don't have the connections or the education in writing specifically, or have been secretly writing and always dreamt of being published. PEN America has a brilliant 8-month fellowship that takes talented writers that have no access to the writing world and teaches them how to refine their work, introduces them to publishers and writers and editors, and provide classes in writing at UCLA, public readings where they read at literary events to promote you and your work. And there's so much more. You'll even get a class with me on how to read your work in front of a microphone, because great reads sell books, as all authors know. If you're interested, check out the application at pen.org, Emerging Voices Fellowship. That's pen.org/emerging-voices-fellowship. Or just go to pen.org and you can find it there. Become a member. Get involved with the literary world like you've always wanted to. Like a writer or Support writers. Writers always need support. And don't pass on their brilliant newsletter that comes out daily called Dare. Pen America. Let me know if you're digging what I'm shoveling through the website hollywoodandhollywild.com. I can always use a hey or we're going to come burn down your house. We hate your show. Any kind of feedback is good. I think there's people out there, but all I hear is crickets and doves and the occasional owl. Remember, it's all about sharing. And don't step on any critters. We're all just trying to get one more day. That was a pretty good show. You know, this next weekend I'm going to be out at the annual Yosemite Music Festival. It's next weekend on the 7th. I'll be out there at the KRYZ radio booth, and I'll be able to interview some of the artists and some of the attendees. Looking forward to that. I'm thinking about getting some chickens. Might be nice to have some chickens, some fresh eggs. Something about eating food from your property. Wait. What's that? Wait a second. No. Yep. There he is. There's a coyote right there. That's a good-looking coyote. Yeah. Maybe I'm gonna have to build something strong for my chickens. My neighbors lost 3 chickens. I saw him the other day on the road, and he had lost his dog, big dog. And I asked him if he got back, and he said, yeah. He said he came home about 7:30 that night, and he was completely clean, like he'd been to a groomer's. He said he was brushed out and looked beautiful, smelled delightful. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I hope you all have a good night tonight. It's a nice day out. Real nice. That owl's going, isn't he?